It's been almost a year since I started working as a funeral attendant here in California. I won't say the name of the mortuary, just in case this story gets me in trouble, but if you've heard rumors about one of the more haunted ones in the state, yeah, you're probably thinking of the right place. People find my job creepy. I get it. Death makes people uncomfortable. But for me, it's just work. Peaceful, actually. Most of the time. Still, anyone into the paranormal always asks the same stuff. Have you seen a ghost? Do bodies sit up on their own? How bad does it smell? I used to laugh those off. Until one night, not long ago, it was a regular week. I just finished helping with a Tongan funeral service earlier that day. Got back to the office around 7 p.m. and went home. Later that evening, while I was gaming, I got a call from a coworker. He needed help with a late-night body removal. More hours? Sure. Why not? So I got dressed, drove back out, met my coworker, and we picked up the paperwork. Everything routine. We drove to the location, picked up the body, loaded the gurney, and headed back. Small talk in the car. Nothing unusual. When we arrived back at the mortuary, I noticed two things right away. First, no alarm. Normally, if we enter after hours, the alarm goes off and we have to punch in a code. Silence. Second, the lights were on. That doesn't happen. The clerical staff always arms the system before they leave. And lights off, always. But hey, maybe someone was still around. We wheeled the decedent down the hallway toward what we're now required to call the climate-controlled room. As we passed the embalming room, we saw someone inside. Tall guy, mustache, looked mid-50s, maybe 60s. We knocked on the door, opened it, and said hello. The man looked up, waved casually, and said, "Just put him in the cold room. I'll do the paperwork later." Cool, easy. But as we started wheeling the gurney in, he suddenly snapped, "No, not there. I said the cold room." My co-worker and I looked at each other, kind of confused. I said, "Okay, where exactly?" The man pointed to a space just outside the main cooler room. It was late. We were tired. Neither of us wanted to argue with a picky embalmer at midnight, so we left the decedent where he told us to. Said thanks, and headed home. I'll admit, on the drive back I thought it was odd. I'd never seen anyone embalming that late, but I figured maybe they had a backlog or something. Next morning I came into work and my boss immediately asked if I'd done the drop-off for John Smith the night before. I said yeah, my coworker and I had. She looked at me and said, "Next time, please place the body inside the climate-controlled room. Don't just leave it outside." I told her we'd spoken to the embalmer last night and we'd followed his instructions. She frowned. There was no embalmer scheduled last night. I laughed, thinking she was messing with me. Very funny. But yeah, next time I'll just put the body in the cooler even if someone tells me otherwise. We left it at that. But a couple hours later, my coworker came over. Same thing. He'd also been told by our boss not to leave the body outside the cooler, and he'd also mentioned the tall man with the mustache. She'd given him the same confused look. We all went back and pulled up the schedule. No one had been scheduled to work embalming that night. No one. So I asked, "Okay, well, maybe someone came in on their own?" The guy was tall, had a mustache. "Ring any bells?" Our boss shook her head. "All our embalmers are women except Troy, and Troy's short. No mustache." At that point, we just dropped it, got back to work. But later that day, one of the funeral directors pulled me aside. "You're not the first to see him," he said. "What do you mean?" He brought me over to his computer and pulled up a photo. Old staff picture. 1970s, maybe. There he was. The tall man with the mustache. "He died years ago," the director said quietly. "Turns out, the spot he told us to leave the decedent." That used to be the location of the old cold room before renovations. He wasn't confused. He was just stuck in time. I know. It sounds cliché, like a bad campfire story. But it happened. Since then, a few weird little things. Nothing major. But that night, that was real. And now, whenever someone asks if this place is haunted, I just smile and say, sometimes they still show up for work.